Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In this lesson, we're gonna simulate the process of sending and receiving SMS, just like what we've done in the very first lesson. You don't have to know the content of the first lesson, as we will repeat most of it in this lesson. The only difference is the implementation. In this lesson, we'll use the CloudHopper SMPP library. Just a quick review on the process of sending and receiving SMS. Imagine you have a phone and your phone number is 1234. You're going to send a text message to 5678 and the content is hello. The text message reached the SMS center through mobile network. Then the SMS center will deliver the message to the recipient, whose number is 5678. Alright, before going to details, steps, and configs, let's see a brief demonstration and have a big picture on this lesson. Now I have 3 computers. One of them hosts the SMS center. I'm using SMPP sim that simulates the SMS center. I'm going to turn on my SMSC by double-clicking this batch file. Next, I'm going to connect the simulated sender to the SMSC. So I need to know the IP address of the SMSC, which I can find in the command line console. Type ipconfig and hit the enter button on your keyboard. Then you see an IP address here. I'll type this in the browser in the computer that hosts the sender at port 88. Next, I'm going to connect the receiver to the SMSC. The receiver is in Eclipse in my local computer. This is the source code of my receiver in this Java project, which implements my receiver. We need to make sure that this IP address is the same as the IP address of the SMS center, which is this. You see they are already the same. So I'm going to run the receiver. Just right-click on the editing area of the source code, run as Java application. Now you see program starts and connected to SMS center, and it's ready to receive SMS. Now let's send some messages. Go to the sender's computer. Click on Insert MO Messages. Imagine you're sending from 1234 to 5678. Submit message. The receiver got the message here. Let's change the message content here. And the source address and the destination address. Submit the message. And you see the receiver got the message again. And you can also note that the content here is consistent with what is specified here. That's a brief demonstration. So now, let's see how we can set up the receiver and the simulated SMS center. After that, you also learn how to set up the transmitter that is implemented with CloudHopper SMPP library. First of all, let's download an SMPP simulator, which we will use as SMS center. Go to this website. I'll give you a link in the description. Then click here to download the zip file. Download finishes. Unzip the downloaded file anywhere convenient to you. I use this application to unzip. You can use whatever you like. Alright, this directory contains my SMPP sim. I'll use it later. Now I need to download the receiver, which is in my GitHub page. Under repository, Let's get this one. Click here, and then download the zip file. Download finishes. I'll unzip it and move it to my Eclipse workspace. Then I'll import this project, which I've just downloaded, into my Eclipse. I go to my Eclipse, File, Import, Existing project. It's under General section because we're importing a general Java project. Later in this lesson, we'll also import the Maven project. We treat them differently. So, under General section, select Existing project. Next, Browse. And this one, we've just downloaded it. Then OK. Now you see a project here. Keep this ticked. And finish. This is the receiver that we're going to use in this lesson. Let's find out source code. Because we're testing only on the local computer, we set the IP address to 127.0.0.1. The port, the system ID, and password has to be the same as the SMPP SIM configuration. This is the SMPP SIM folder. The configuration of the SMPP SIM is in this folder. We'll use this file. You can open it with any kind of notepad, such as Notepad++, Sublime Text, and etc. I'll just use Microsoft Notepad. Scroll to the top, and in this, you see an SMPP port equal to 2775. So this one also has to be 2775. Let's find out this system ID. Here you can find a couple of system IDs. One is SMPP Client 1, the other is SMPP Client 2. If you use SMPP Client 1 as system ID, then the password has to be the first one in this line. Similarly, if you use SMPP Client 2 as system ID, the password should be the second password. I'm using the first system ID. So the password in my receiver is also the first one. Alright, save the file. Before running the receiver, we need to turn on the SMS Center. It's under the SMPP SIM folder. Here is a batch file named Start SMPP SIM. Open it up. The SMS Center is turned on, and we will observe this console during the test. Now let's also run a receiver. Right-click on the source code file, Run as, Java application. We can note that the receiver is started, connected to the SMS Center, and now ready to receive messages. Also, you can turn off the receiver properly. Not only on the receiver console, but also on the SMPP console, you can notice the receiver is bound or connected. Here's the bound receiver response. Here it says one receiver connected and bound. Here you can see the system ID and the password. Now let's send some messages to the receiver from the web page. The URL is localhost at 88. By the way, this port number here is consistent with the SMPP configuration here. If you change the config here, you also have to change the port number here. Alright, let's send some messages. Click here. Here you input the message content. Let's send from 1234 to 5678. The receiver received the message, which you can also find in the SMPP sim. Let's change the message content. You see the changes in the receiver and the SMPP sim. That's all for the receiver in this lesson. Now, let's set up the transmitter, which we'll use to send messages. You guys can find the sample code from our GitHub page. On the repository, go to the simple CloudHopper transmitter. Download the source code. Download is finished. I'm going to import it into my Eclipse workspace, just as what I've done to the receiver. This is the transmitter that I'm going to import. Under General section, choose Existing Project, this one. This is the one I'm going to import. Make sure it's ticked. Here's the transmitter implemented with CloudHopper SMPP library. Let's see. Let's open up the source code. Before running it, let's make sure this config is consistent with the SMPP sim config. As we're running on a local computer, let's set the IP address to 127.0.0.1. The port number is here. The system ID and the password are all in the SMPP config file. See? If you use the first system ID, then you use the first password. If you use the second system ID, you use the second password. My transmitter's config already matched the specification of the SMPP sim, so I'll save the change and run the transmitter. At the same time, let's also observe the SMPP sim console. As we run the transmitter, we can see changes both on the SMPP sim console and the Eclipse console. On the Eclipse console, we can see the program starts, then connects to SMS Center, then sends a message, and finally exits. Let's see what we've got in the SMS Center. This is an unbound response, which happens before transmitter program terminates. Scroll up a little bit. You see the submitted message. Scrolling up more, you find bind transmitter request and response, which happen when transmitter connects and binds to SMS Center. This is pretty much what is happening in the SMS Center. Now, why don't we observe the behavior of the receiver? In Eclipse, Switch to the console of the receiver. This is the receiver console, and I cannot see any change here, believe it or not. These messages were sent from the web page just now, if you remember. Usually, SMPP transmitter program sends messages to a mobile phone rather than SMPP receiver program. In other words, SMPP transmitter program sends mobile terminated messages or MT messages. Similarly, SMPP receiver program usually receives messages from mobile phone instead of another transmitter program. In other words, SMPP receiver programs are used for receiving mobile originated messages or MO messages. SMPP SIM allows you to inject MO messages so that even if you don't have real SMS center and not even a phone, you can still test your SMPP receiver application. If you want to know more about how to inject MO messages into SMPP SIM, you can watch the 4th lesson. But for a testing purpose or somehow you might want to send from SMPP transmitter to SMPP receiver, in this case, you have to change some config in the SMPP SIM. Let's quit the receiver first. Then SMPP SIM. Press Ctrl and C on your keyboard. In the SMPP SIM config file, find loopback property. There you go. It's false now. We need to change it to true in order to send from SMPP transmitter to SMPP receiver. Save the file and start the SMPP SIM. Then start the receiver. It started. We can see that both from the Eclipse console and the SMS center. Now, let's turn on the transmitter. Quick tip. In your source code on the editing area, on any blank area, right click, and then you can still run a program. Here, you see the transmitter is connected to the SMS center, submitted a message, and done. Let's see the receiver. Here the received message. Let's send some different contents from the transmitter. Change the message content. Save the file. Run the transmitter. In the receiver, you see the new content. Of course, in the SMS center, you can also see the same message here and other information. Alright, that's all for the CloudHopper SMPP transmitter and receiver. I'll turn off the SMPP SIM because I'm not going to use it anymore in this lesson. Well, some of you guys might want to learn more about CloudHopper SMPP library. So in the rest of the video, I'll give you a brief introduction to CloudHopper SMPP project. The link is here. You can also find it in the description. Go to this link. And go to release. I'm going to download and use this release as an example. Download's finished. I'm gonna unzip the downloaded file and move it to my workspace. Let's import it into the Eclipse. Last couple of times I used this option because I was importing general Java project, but it will not work this time. Instead, under the Maven section, select existing Maven project. By the way, make sure your Eclipse should be Eclipse Mars or newer. Java version needs to be 7 or above. Click Next. And select this one, which I've just downloaded. This is the project that I'm gonna import. Make sure it's ticked and finish. It might take some time to complete the import and workspace building. You can check the progress at the bottom right corner, but this doesn't really affect me. I can already see the imported project here. Let's see what's in it. There's something wrong with the POM file. Got a pop-up that says I need to install Maven plugin connectors, but this doesn't really affect what I'm gonna present to you later. I'm just gonna click Finish, then click OK. Alright, back to the POM file. You notice an error. It actually doesn't matter in this lesson either. So let's find out the sample code of the server and the client. You can treat the server as an SMS sender and client as a transceiver that's able to both send and receive PDU. They are under this folder. Under the demo package, there is a client and the server. The server actually simulates SMS sender. The server started without error. Now let's run a client. It started with no error and says press any key to send inquire link. Again, I press any key and the client program is turned off. As you can notice, this square button is turned into gray. The server is still running. The square button is red, you see? Its console also has some changes. But anyway, I'll stop the server. Now, let's take a closer look at the source code of both client and the server. Double click here. This is a client. The program starts from the main function. Right here is the specification of IP address, SMPP ports. The SMPP port, as we know, also has to be consistent with the server config. Let's open up the source code of the server. Here, we can see the SMPP port is 2776. The system ID and the password take any value to connect to the server main. Here are some timeout parameters. Next, the client sends a couple of inquire link PDUs. Starting from here, the program is preparing for SMS content to send. This is a submit SMPDU. It's a source address. This one is destination address. Source address ton, source address NPI. Here, It's printing out some parameters that you might be interested in. Here it's pretty much closing the client program. Alright, let's start again the server and the client and take a closer look at their behaviors through Eclipse console. Now I start the server. And the client. Client has started. Let's see what has happened to the server side while the client was starting. Here, the server-side console records some info. Let's see. The server received a PDU, which is a bind transceiver. Then sent PDU, which is a bind transceiver response, which is OK. Let's continue with the client. We've got plenty of information on the client console. Let's see. Firstly, the client sent a PDU. Inquire link PDU. Its response is OK. Then the client sent another inquire link PDU. The response is also OK. What happened next is client sending submit SMPDU. This is message body. This is destination address. It's the same as here. This is message content in hex string. The original content is here. Alright, this is submit SMPDU that's sent. Its response is here, which is OK. This is pretty much the behavior of the client side. Let's see what is happening on the server side in the meanwhile. These are the inquire link PDUs. Here, the server side receives a submit SMPDU. You can see the source address and the destination address. You can also find the message content in hex string. Back to the client. Press any key to stop client. Then you notice it has sent an unbind PDU. And its response is OK. This is pretty much about the client. In service console, you can notice this unbind PDU. The server received this unbind PDU and sent this unbind response PDU to the client. That's it. We've simulated SMPP receiver and SMPP transmitter with CloudHopper's library. If you are interested in implementation with Logica's SMPP library or OpenSMS, you can visit the first lesson and fourth lesson. By the way, when you implement with OpenSMS, don't forget to change the dependent library. For more details, I'll see you in the 10th lesson. Thanks for watching. Peace.